Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to this week's episode of Totally Oblivious. I'm your host, Caleb. That's co-host Alex.
I'm always here.
Couch. Guys, I'm gonna coordinate something. I have some debts I need to pay off. But there's the couch. Couch should be coming soon. I swear, because I'm tired of having to sit in this stupid chair.
That one's hella uncomfortable. But
It's so awful. I can't even relax. I can't lean back.
I'm afraid that we'll get a couch and I'll just sink in.
I honestly expect that to happen because that's how it was when we were using the couch before.
But it was so much more comfortable.
It was so not like literally Alex could lay down.
I started falling asleep at some episodes just because of how comfy I got. I just go.
We could if we have the couch before the cold weather sets in, we could have truly cozy episodes.
We can do like a little
Some
mugs.
Some hot
Turn the camera a little bit yellow in post.
We can even open the window too and let in the cool breeze.
Oh shit! I just realized you got blinds.
Yeah, it's my mom fashioned them to be darker. So
you should get a little clip. That's what I got to do with my room. You got to get a little clip so that you get the light in the middle.
Get rid of no light. What did I just do with my head?
I want you to know. I looked over here because I saw a light, and I just saw. I'm not gonna do it. I just saw this, and I'm like,
Kyle.
I was like, huh?
Sorry, guys. My ancestry came out.
Did we get a second Totodile?
I've had it. It was my desk Totodile.
Oh.
And then Angie stole it, and then he just reappeared.
Oh, interesting.
I honestly don't know where he was during. He had his own side quest, I suppose.
I see that.
The audience, you
can't see it.
You can't see it. But
It looks like Totodile.
You know what? Hold on, I'll bring him on. He's just.
What the?
There you go. There's a Totodile.
Use water jet.
Use.
That's not even a Pokemon move.
Bite.
That's a good one. Bite or crunch is more
I
often.
thought Water Jet was a move.
I don't think Totodile learns water jet though.
I think it's a Gen 5 move. He might actually now.
Maybe.
Can.
Totodile. Why do you have Toad in your name?
Koto.
Yes.
Yes.
You can? Okay.
Here you go. Totodile, use water gun.
What's that? A strap? I always thought that was weird. Dude, water gun. Wait, what?
I think it's a reference to squirt gun, right?
Something like that, yeah.
And there, because it was Squirtle's move originally.
Yeah.
Because he's a squirting turtle. Get it?
He's a
Squirtle.
He's a fucking goddamn it.
Squirrel turtle.
A squirrel turtle, which is always weird to me. And then he just loses the whole squirrel motif.
It's gone. Literally, the only part of squirrel was just his tail.
Yeah, he was mostly turtle.
I'm pretty sure most people probably think of him as Squirt Turtle.
Yeah.
Because water.
Anyway, besides the Pokemon talk, what is today's?
Oh, I think there was news, but honestly, it's just a continuation of last week's news.
We had 30 views on that last video. It kind of popped off for the channel's videos.
I mean, in terms of modern episodes, not really.
Okay.
And in terms of all time,
not really.
Also not really.
Bro, we gotta, once we get the couch, we will finally be.
We'll be back.
We'll get 100 views.
We'll get 1 million followers.
1 million followers.
Was there any news though that we feel like talking about?
I've been more off Twitter as of recently.
Hey, that's good. Yeah. I hate social
Instagram
media.
and TikTok just seem to shit on everything. Any interesting news? I guess this isn't like news, but I think I low-key want to go to college for psychology.
Wow.
It was a recent revelation I've had. Like, I kind of was tempted by being an electrician, but then I realized math sucks. So then I was like, pondering. So I think I might go to community college and then might transfer over to a university to end up studying that. I don't know. Just
Hey.
random like Alex lore drop, kind of going full Jotaro here and trying to get a PhD in marine biology.
Trying to get a PhD.
But in mine, it's I was like, the study of the human mind. I find it pretty fascinating. I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool.
I've always had this natural attack with animals and people just to be like, you're weird, and you're probably weird.
Why you do the things you do?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you're weird for weird reasons. I'm like, I know you. I just want to. Maybe it's an ego thing, but I kind of want to do psychology just to be like, oh yeah, you have a fucked up past. Just to say that to myself, to be like, oh yeah, you're a little specimen.
Oh, I guess in a bit of sports news,
Yeah.
To the entirety of the NFL's glee, the Chiefs have started the season 0-2.
Fucking awesome.
It's great.
Yeah.
And I think that this will be a bold prediction, but they played as of us recording, they played the Giants this weekend. If they lose to the Giants, if they go 0-3 because they lost to the Giants, I think that at that point they might as well just call their season done.
Who won against the Dolphins or the Giants? The Giants won, no?
For
The last
week?
Yeah.
I think the Giants are also 0-2.
Damn. They suck.
I mean, the Giants are always trash every year.
Yeah.
Every year since their last Super Bowl appearance, they've just been utter garbage.
Yeah.
That's
what happens when you lose a Manning.
They were just, well, they still had Eli.
Oh,
on the
never
team.
mind. They just suck.
They were just dragging him because he had nobody supporting him around him. He was just alone. Basically, from what I remember during that era, is they would just send Eli Manning onto the field by himself, essentially. Like that might as well have been what they did because of how the games turned out.
That just fucking sucks.
Yeah, it sucks that his legacy did not end the same way that his brothers did. But, I mean, they both have their own sports show together. So, I mean, I guess it's not all bad. I guess it's not all bad for that poor millionaire quarterback.
Yeah. No. Yes. I guess the Lions are 1-1 now.
They are 1-1. I'm full on believing in the Lions this season.
I think they can do it.
Titans are doing about how I expected, which is disappointing. And I think I'm just going to let them...
I'm just going to let them do their thing. I'm going to release them back into the wild.
Just be Ash with Butterfree. Go do your thing. Go live
show
your
up
life.
1,000 episodes later.
Show up at the very end of the season, not actually in person, but your soul, I guess.
Was it his soul?
Like for some reason, Pikachu like perished on the tournament, and everybody Ash has ever caught came to him in his unconscious state.
He had a spirit bomb. I haven't watched that.
He did.
He just had a spirit bomb moment.
He did. He actually did.
Ultra Instinct Pikachu.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of peak.
It's kind of peak. Okay.
Had I watched the entire season and not that part, it might have meant more. But it was pretty cool because then after he wakes up, it starts playing the original theme song, and I think they have like a beam clash. him and Charizard have a beam clash.
Of course, it's the two fucking favorite Pokemon. Incredible. Impeccable.
I did learn apparently some lore about Greninja the other day.
Yeah.
And why Ash, they made him lose the X and Y League.
Why?
Because Greninja was progressively becoming more popular than Pikachu. And so they couldn't have Greninja do that. So then they offed him. They offed him at his prime.
And then they gave him a Mega.
And then they gave him a Mega that you can't get unless
you spend $20 and then win a couple games.
Unless you pay for the online and just so happen to be good enough to earn the correct rank to get him.
Yeah.
Everything, literally that last Nintendo Direct
Might have been one of the worst ever.
It might have been one of the worst
Like,
ever.
cool Pokemon designs. Don't get me wrong. All the Megas look cool. I even like the Pikachus. But, like, execution-wise, I think Nintendo's going down a dark pathway.
Pokemon's just straight up greedy at this point.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, why are you announcing a $30 DLC? I know it's going to be $30. Why are you announcing a $30 DLC before the game has even come out?
Yeah.
At that point, just delay the game and have that as part of the base game.
Yeah.
But
Caleb, they would be poor. They wouldn't get $30 from millions of fans and keep up the product.
And the Donkey Kong DLC is just stupid too.
What's the Donkey Kong? I didn't watch that direct.
It's $20 and you basically get an extra game mode and you get to visit DK Island. That's it. That's all you get.
Like no story bits, no extra levels, just nothing.
You just get mini game. That's it.
For $20?
No Mario Kart update either. So I mean, I paid $80.
Well, remember, Mario Kart over the span of 8 years will eventually get an update. So eventually.
Hopefully not paid. I'd like a free update for the $80 game. Yeah. And also Mario's 40th anniversary announcement. Underwhelming.
Really?
They could have announced a lot of things. They could have been working on a lot of things for the 40th anniversary of their mainstay. Mm-hmm. And we got 2 ports and I guess a movie announcement.
The movie does look pretty good. I mean, it's
Illumination.
I don't know why my brain could not register.
Stopped.
Or I was like, Illumination.
But
what the fuck?
Like the first movie was good, but like I feel like there could have been a lot more Mario content. Like there's a lot of stuff they could have done rather than what they did. And what they did was announce 2 ports, $70 for the bundle, $40 each on the eShop, and DLC for Mario Wonder. Once again, paid. They could have just done a free update, but no, you have to pay. Like, it's just the greed of capitalism is everywhere these days, and I can't stand it.
Yeah, no, we're in an interesting time. I guess
Yoshi, the new Yoshi game, that looks peak.
I'm shocked we don't have a Yoshi in here.
I have one actually. You want me to grab Yoshi?
No, I'm just saying with we have all.
I have Yoshi.
I know you have a Yoshi, but it's weird that we're like this is technically like a pro Yoshi podcast, and we just don't have any Yoshis. As Caleb walks away, insert cut here.
We're doing more respect for Mario's 40th anniversary on this one episode than Nintendo did in this entire year. And look, Yoshi's filled with yen.
All Yoshis are filled with money. Go kill Yoshis.
Go kill Yoshis and you'll get money. Anyway,
yeah. I guess if we're going news for news. Steel Ball Run. Its announcement will be next week.
Nice.
The only thing I'm prepping around that will determine the rest of my future going on for the next year, maybe 2 years and a half, is whether it's weekly or not. If it's not weekly, I'm gonna probably hard pivot into a whole different genre of YouTube content, and then probably getting a part-time job on top of probably going the rest of my later years in life going into psychology. Genuinely, I'm ready either for a full reset for my life or I'm getting what I want. There's no in between. It's either weekly Steel Ball Run to cash up on all the YouTube money to then go into college, or okay, it's cooked. I gotta pivot into something else. We gotta move on, because genuinely, I think my homie Julian summarized why I don't like batch releases compared to weekly. Batch releases, as horrid they are like ice cream. You can have a whole tub of ice cream in one go, right? Mm-hmm. But you'll get sick of it, and you won't really like the ice cream after a while. Mm-hmm. We had a whole conversation upstairs about food and how certain versions of myself will like to indulge with 5 cookies. But instead of 5 cookies in one go, or maybe a pint of ice cream in one go, over the next 40 weeks, I get to have a few bites of ice cream
you get to
every
have
day.
it every
week.
You get to really enjoy your food.
Yeah, we've been
And
analyze it. Look forward to it.
I do also agree with that. I hate batch releases because it just like it's either you have to watch all of it immediately or you fall behind.
Yeah.
Like there's no in between. Like everybody's already gonna have binge watched it and they're gonna know how everything ends. And so you're either going to get that spoiled or you have to be like, all right, I guess I'm spending the next 6 hours watching all of these episodes in a row because I don't want anything spoiled for me.
Oh yeah.
Just it's annoying and it definitely kills hype.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, it kills the hype behind things.
I think Netflix has learned a lot of recent anime have been weekly. So I do pray because it will be on Netflix. My problem was never the provider. It was always how it
came out.
Yes. So and genuinely looking at how the team has been presenting themselves, because when a team has humor behind the product they're releasing, I go, okay, so they're not taking it super seriously. They're having fun with it. And I go, okay, I am thoroughly excited. I am willing to wake up at the crack of dawn to watch a trailer or two, and then for the next 17 hours making content around it. I'm so ready for them to just release all that info. I make a video just being like, here's my general thoughts. And then the next video I immediately record after uploading that one is doing a full breakdown of a 2-minute fucking trailer, and it lasts 15 minutes. I am more than capable. Over the past 3 weeks, I've been dealing with stuff, and then I'm just slowly waiting for this thing to show up. So I have videos I'm hopefully are being made at the time of this recording, being made by friends. And then before this recording of the podcast, I was working on a video I can just beat the fuck out of, really instantly quick. So I can just upload it, be like, here's a non-SBR video, but it's still JoJo's related. So it should get a decent amount of views to pump the channel's numbers up. So it's there's a bit of that involved. So I'm just waiting. I'm in the middle of the fucking trenches, just come on.
Please.
Come on. Because if it doesn't happen, I'm going AWOL. I'm just being I'm done. I'm tired. I to give my gripe, maybe this is where I can bitch and complain. I love part 6 of JoJo's, but the problem was, and it might be just a curse. Part 6 might actually just be cursed because, first off, the manga originally was not adored or loved compared to other parts. Then Netflix does these batch releases. No one likes it. The Part 6 fans were abused years before the anime came out, so they're highly aggressive because of reasons. They're like fighting dogs, where they've been conditioned to be like, you don't like Jolene? I'm like, well, I don't like her because of, this reason or why. I'm not hating on her because she's a woman, but it's I'm like, okay, hold on there. Chill. I like part 6. I made a whole video on it explaining why I love and adore the ending of part 6, so on and so forth. And I love Poochie as a villain. So I go, yeah, interesting. And I go, yeah, but the rest of it, I'm like, ooh, terrified.
Hold
on here. So I'm genuinely waiting on that video or announcement. Or who knows? It might just be voice actor announcement, and it won't be a hell of a lot. But who knows? I'm waiting for it. I just need them to say weekly. After that, don't care for anything else. Just give me the release date, and I'll be fucking ready. I will be ready.
Real.
So that's more or less that. And I think I have a plan to kind of prepare myself till that event date. Just here's some videos just talking about the original universe before we completely switch over to a whole new continuity, so on and so forth.
So it sounds like your future is heading towards a potential 2 paths that it could go down.
Yeah.
A potential split in the timeline, one would say.
Yeah.
transition into what we should have talked about last week because we said we were going to talk about it, but we'll now talk about this week. Parallel universes.
Ah, yes.
Split timelines.
Wow, this segued
Alternate realities.
perfectly. I know you're not caught up with JoJo's, but genuinely, I think you will like SPR just in general when it comes out.
Can I just skip to part 7?
No, okay, here's the thing. I made a video on this entirely. Parts 1 through 6, no, you shouldn't skip that. But if you just wanted to skip to 7, it's perfectly fine. It's quite literally written by Araki just to skip to. You can just skip to it.
My JoJo's died with Josuke.
Real. I can understand why people don't like 5 and 6. There is some genuine complaints about it. For me, I adore part 5. I absolutely love it for specific reasons. But I can understand why after 4 it just goes, damn, there's a lot of moving fucking parts here.
There's a lot, and you know they kind of. It felt like I'm not gonna go on that too long. Yeah. We're on the.
There's parallels. There's timelines and stuff in 7.
So Alex,
yeah,
how should we start this off? Do you want to start in the past or
in the present?
In the present.
I think the present's a bit more abstract. Very. Get into my Warhammer bag. I recently got back into Warhammer. My fatigue of the franchise was reignited, so I'm back on in that. So I don't know. Going the Zinchian route of trying to explain it in the future seems a bit harder. So I think going off of last week's subject and asking the boys. So I did ask them last week about this, is because I remember the original question, how life would have been without COVID, and genuinely just pondering on it for a while. The boys originally said high school probably wouldn't have changed that much.
No, those last few months would have gone pretty much the same. It would have been nice to have those like last couple memories that we could have made with everybody around, but the eventual like
aftermath,
after effects of us just ultimately not being around each other as much, and where now everybody's kind of living
their own thing.
That's a canon event, right?
Yeah.
Like no high schooler or friendship over time can withstand the canon event of everybody
just does their own thing.
Life happens, and after high school, people drift apart. That's just what happens. Yeah. We're lucky that our friend group stays pretty close.
Because they got Discord.
Like we stick together through Discord and we'll chat every once in a while. But
I send the boys memes.
Some people don't have that same opportunity.
Some people just leave.
But like that's the reality, is that's just how life goes.
I do wonder what would have happened. I don't. It's so perplexing to think, because remember what COVID, because immediately after college or high school, I don't think a lot of things would have changed with COVID, but then post high school into those first 2 years sucked, right? 2021 and 22, 2021 and 20
at that point
22 sucked.
I guess for me personally, it would have been a major difference because I would have had to attend college in person rather than doing my entirety of college online.
And now think about it like this. This is a crazy one decision changes. Being in class versus online leads to, how do I put this into perspective? This is why I like the human mind. An infinite amount of potential interactions between guys, girls, love interests, butting of heads, interactions with teachers, future opportunities with people, events that would not and could not have been canceled because of, the restrictions. It quite literally could be a completely different world entirely. Like genuinely, you could have gone through all of that and met 2 different girlfriends, maybe went abroad somewhere because of like college opportunities. I don't even know what would have happened with me, because I genuinely think I don't know where I would have ended up.
Because I think the ultimate split was, had we stayed in school but in the entirety of the time like most people do, like I think I would have built a closer relationship with friends, where rather in our current timeline, I built a closer relationship with my family, because that was pretty much exclusively who I spent time with during I guess
So
as soon as COVID hit, up until like things opened back up again, I pretty much exclusively hung out with family.
So here's a crazy way to put this, right? So without COVID happening, so if you don't know, the Perez's right now have basically a fucking front farm. There's goats, there's pigs, there's ducks, there's chicken. We're just missing the goddamn cow. But that maybe could not have happened if Colby wasn't working at the hospital with us and met his eloped wife now. Mm-hmm. So, hold on, I gotta
in a technicality, through the advent of COVID and me and Colby basically being secluded from any outside world other than I guess, like I said, family, is it basically got us into like a completely different mindset to the point where Colby then decided, like, because at the time he was just making cartoons, and then he pivoted and was like, all right, money's looking a little low. I got to get out and start working. And then from there, he got the job at a restaurant. And then Alex, from the advent of COVID, likely is the reason why the position opened for him at the hospital, which is how he got there. And then Colby heard about the job through Alex, so then they both started working at the hospital.
And then Caleb
and then I got there. So that's a whole slew of events that happened just because that's like a whole domino effect just because of COVID.
Think about it like this too. So then after that event, you eventually wanted to go in. Okay, this is where it gets fucking funky. So
the advent of COVID made me take a break from working at Arby's as well at the time. So I had at least 3 months off from there before finally going back in July, like late June, early July. I think it was like June. I got back to work and realized how much I hated that job and didn't want to do it anymore. Was dissatisfied. Then I was like, Alex, help me get a job at Harvest.
And we did.
Which is then how I got to Harvest, which is eventually how I got into the radio, which is eventually how I got to working at the hospital, which is eventually how I got to the point where I got laid off from the radio, then went to the hospital.
I have to pivot off of that point. So this all goes back to COVID. COVID ended up teaching people that people like to work indoors, but then that also simultaneously taught businesses to program AI to do some of those jobs, which then eventually led back to Caleb, I think got fired because of automated voices.
Which I think is what was already going to happen. Like that was going to happen regardless, but it kind of like sped up the process because a lot of radio stations, I guess, especially like local ones, were not doing good on money, especially because they are pretty much exclusively make their money off of the support of local businesses, which also suffered from COVID, which is why the radio got bought out, which is why they ended up getting this new CEO who ended up screwing over all the other radio companies that he purchases and makes them go fully automated to save money for his own company, which is what ended up getting me to be jobless in early 2023, which is what eventually led to me getting a job with the newspaper, which is now where I am working full time as a reporter.
Crazy. That's like, all because of one like global event.
One event. Because had that all not happened, I would have most likely, probably, if I had to go to school in person, I likely would have either A, worked a lot less, or B, just didn't work at all and focused on school.
Think about it like this time too. If in person, this is just crazy. Just because I know it happens because... do I drop that bit of information now or later? We'll wait on that one.
We'll wait on that one.
But how I know how college works is sometimes opportunities are presented to you even depending on the subject, but it does happen where if you were in person, you might have went it because you did communications, right?
I started off doing criminal justice.
So criminal justice, who knows? That might have spiraled into quite literally criminal justice or something justice related if in person, but because you're secluded, you start wandering and ideas start going off in other directions. So genuinely, because of certain criteria and events surrounding you, this is where, maybe the psychology comment from the very beginning starts to kick in, where it's like, because, hold on, wait a minute.
Because of the interactions that I had in this timeline rather than the alternative timeline where I would have been having interactions with fellow college students, it completely changed the course of what direction I could have gone down.
Here's a little. This is where Jarrett would love to interlude here. Here's a little bit of Karl's Marxism and maybe the human existence, where some people argue humans are inherently selfless and apparently selfish. Communism argues, and maybe even psychology argues, that it's neither of those. It's human environment in general that dictates a person's decisions. So because of global events, a lot of decisions somebody would have made pre-COVID completely changed after COVID. And
because it showed a completely different side of the world than what we had kind of been used to up until that point.
I genuinely, and I do think I want to do this, regardless of Steel Ball Run's success or not. I do believe in, as of currently right now, and knowing me, I think I still will do it. I want to see, like, in 10 years' time, if I do get a PhD in psychology, just to be known as Dr. Meadows, just to show it off, to be like,
Dr. Meadows,
hey, I got a PhD. I do want to understand more of what COVID and the internet did, because I think a lot psychologically changed with a lot of people. A lot of people were like, oh, that quickly life can completely change. Like, it can just, current decisions can be completely altered regardless of what you can do or what you can't do. It's weird, and the effects of that are even more interesting. Because we just see with you, because with me, because of what YouTube was and what that childhood dream of mine had, I don't think necessarily didn't change a hell of a lot. Maybe if because of the time, it probably boosted it, I would say, maybe a smidgen. It probably wasn't the best boost because of, an animation company. I still think the reason why Stone Ocean came out the way it did was because of COVID. I think there were a lot of underlying factors. So on and so. Oh my God, it's a random Bulby Pokeball. Underlying factors. So it wasn't the best, but it definitely boosted it. And just the people around me at the time kind of pushed me forward into that regard. Has it been the greatest overall? I can definitely say I've loved the in-between time of it. I do like YouTube. I just wish it was less punishing for trying to branch out or just do different ideas when you have the time to, which probably has led me down the current idea that I have. So I think it is case dependent for a lot of people, but I think a vast majority of people, their lives completely changed in a completely different area.
And honestly, if we want to get really crazy about it, is technically there's a good chance that the reason that you are listening to us speak right now is a direct effect of the branched COVID timeline.
Yeah.
Because podcast got big at the time. At some point we would have probably made something like this.
Caleb always liked YouTube.
I always wanted to make content. So something like this would have existed. But the reason it came about at the time that it did is because Markiplier had started his own podcast with his friends. And I was like, man, that I didn't think it was that easy to start one.
Yeah, no, you just need a microphone and a camera.
And we got a heck of a lot more than that just to start off, pretty much.
Yeah.
But like that's just the crazy thing is we still to this day are going to be seeing the effects of COVID.
100%.
Like, we still don't know the full ramifications, because even now, we don't know what's going to happen in the next next 5 years, even next 5 months.
No.
Things could completely change.
Shit,
So-
look what happened last week. I'm
Last
going to say
week's
this right
crazy.
now. I'm going to say this right now. Last week was because of COVID.
It was.
Because everybody had to go online, and being the YouTuber I am, and being the guy who wants to study psychology in order to analyze the internet even more, I can tell you right now, COVID and its direct consequences led up to that, what happened last week. Mm-hmm. And you know what we're talking about in current political news. People got more secluded, more into sub-internet cultures, got grifted a hell of a lot more. That was a direct byproduct of COVID.
The advent of the podcasts during COVID and the popularity of that is what created a lot of these extremist podcasts that are basically forming the minds of young people to think in
very
absurd ways.
No, you can't help other people. That's terrible. How the fuck do we explain
how do we
half
get to that
of human
point?
existence up until that point? It's kind of the whole thing to, help each other. It's kind of the whole monkey way, ape strong together.
Ape strong together. I guess to move on to another potential branched timeline. I guess this one, arguably, we wouldn't know truly what the effects. We don't know exactly what life was like before this happening, but we can definitely tell you from what we've been told and what we've experienced in our own life of the advent is, what if 9/11 never happened? What if the World Trade Center was still standing to this day?
See now you're pickling all my little tickles here, bro. You're pickling all my little tickles. Came out wrong twice, but we're gonna go with it, twin. Alternate history is a fun thing. I like it because I used to be way bigger. As a child, before anime, right? Before real big anime, with me, it was Star Wars, history, and alt history. And what I can understand, and looking back at it now as a grown man with even more historical knowledge, and even then a deeper understanding of, God, I might actually become a psychologist. Holy fucking shit. Because it's not just a study of the human mind, it's human nature in general. Mm-hmm. If 9/11 didn't happen, we would be living in a vastly different political climate. Drastically. Because how politics works, this is why I will never grift left or right, because my brain has seen it and has understood it and has adapted to it like I was fucking Ultimate Cars, okay? Because this is what happens when you want to pin the tail on the donkey, not the Democratic Party. You usually point out an enemy. At the time where the U.S. was at the top of the leaderboard, and without going into the conspiracy theory of, Reagan basically, while purposefully or not, set up the Middle East to hate both, the USSR and America, the byproduct of us fucking with the Middle East was 9/11. Yet again, the reason why Charlie got shot probably was because...
in part because of that.
Of COVID. And maybe even that too. So when you remove 9/11 from this scenario, you don't get heavy brown hate. That category being Indian, Pakistani, any of the stands in the Middle East in general. You don't get any of that. There is no extremism. Now, could terrorist groups still end up existing? Probably yes. The Middle East has always been a very, very hot area. And this is where a little bit of my psychology niche interests kick in. When humans are placed in extreme environments, while we are adapted for hotness, humans don't like to be hot. They can survive it, but they don't like to be hot. They like to be livable or survivable. Yes. Livable and happy is a step down in temperature. 69 degrees, unironically, is probably by far humans' most comfortable temperature. So while I will say, hypothetically 9/11 didn't happen in this alternate timeline, the Middle East is always subject to fucking craziness because of history and quite literally the environment itself. So while Middle Eastern American hate probably wouldn't be as high as it is now, it probably still would have been, oh, the Middle East is decentralized. We have to do it so, the Arabic nations don't form. That is, if you know, you know. So we would be living in a very different time. Now, whether or not the fast forwarding of the border has to be secure, terrorism ramps up by product of that, who knows? But we would be living in a very vastly different area. I genuinely do believe, because you'll remember this. Do you kind of see or recognize how the whole global unionization? Remember in kindergarten, you'd see like all the flags and all the kids holding hands.
Yeah.
You see how as we got older, after 9/11, it progressively just stopped. Mm-hmm. So I feel like in this alternate timeline, globalization probably is still more around. People still want to be interconnected with each other vastly more than it is now.
Yeah.
Now, depending on what happens in that alternate timeline, because 9/11 doesn't happen, who the fuck knows?
Because there is also that the advent of 9/11 was kind of the normalization of the government basically being able to have access to all your data at any point in time.
Yeah.
That Big Brother's basically always watching.
Yeah.
So like without that, I think there's a good chance that still happens in some degree.
Remember, if there isn't any, I'm so parched right now. If there isn't an excuse at the moment, make an excuse. Machiavellian 101.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, there's gonna be they'd find a reason to make that possible, that they can just have access to basically whatever you're doing at all times. But like I said, with other things that occurred, is that it wouldn't have been as fast to develop as it did.
I have a crazy fucking idea.
What is it?
So hold on, we're gonna roll this back a little bit. So without 9/11 happening, and okay, hold on. Fuck, I wish we had a whiteboard. God,
We have a whiteboard.
hold on. Pause. So I still think, regardless.
Even Yoshi's paying attention.
Thank you, Yoshi. I think even regardless of Al Gore versus Bush the second time, I still think he would have won because of gerrymandering bullshit. But I'm gonna do the Twin Towers right here. They live. Okay, so the Twin Towers still live, right? So I think because of this, right? Americans at the time were still very patriotic. There still was a sense of community. They became more patriotic. But because there was no rash changes because of this. So remember, in the timeline, hold on, I got to do another Twin Towers and then like explosion.
Our timeline.
Yeah, they fall. In this timeline, right? It leads to. That was a terrible fucking arrow. Hold on, chat. I'm in the way of most of this. I'm trying to give it to you. So in this timeline, this led to I'm gonna put mid, and then like war, and then like I don't know. I can't. Let's draw Iraq. This is supposed to be Iraq, right? So we'll do IQ. Do IQ for Iraq. That led to the war in Iraq and all the Middle Eastern stuff. This was all a fail. The whole Desert Storm and all of that stuff failed. All of that was a fail. Like,
to add on to that as well, I know that this is a little bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
Because of this happening and us coming here, that also led to Pat Tillman being killed by his own men, which is not talked about, by the way, but has created a whole subset in the NFL of patriotism based on Pat Tillman's death, which they say he died a patriot, but in reality, he died because he hated the war.
Yes. So this also has its effects because this was a failure. Americans at the time, hold on, we'll do another little flag here. AMC hates war. So the average American, regardless, you can literally look this up. The average American, me and Caleb included, do not like the war in the Middle East. This thing right here did nothing. Sure, they bombed the towers, terrible incident, but the byproduct of this happening was dumb. All this war was, if you gigabrain think about it, was just for destroying the Middle East so it doesn't gain any political power globally. Because if you know, the EU is powerful. We know this. But what happens if, Saudi Arabia, one of the most powerful Middle Eastern countries, gets all the other Middle Eastern countries in order to cooperate with each other? That would be a threat to foreign national interests. So whether or not 9/11 was an inside job, yes or no, conspiracy theory up the ass.
At this point, it doesn't matter if it was or not. Because it just led to excuses. The advent of this is already occurring. So It doesn't matter because this has already happened.
So because the average American, we'll just do it like this, does not like war, it leads to a funny little event happening. I can't spell Barack Obama. Obama. Thank you.
We're going to run out of
It's fine.
space.
Yeah. It led to Obama. So why is this significant? Remember, the Republican Party 2 times now has basically failed at everything. All of this American, patriotism coming off of 9/11 has led into rampant patriotism, but the patriotism is not in the right area. Americans don't like it. There is clear bullshit happening in order to feed it, but no one really gives a shit. So what happens? Well, this is what happens with every cultural movement, and it leads to people going technically punk. Counterculture. You see it with the young people and wanting to be more individual. Like there's a whole bunch of musical stuff. You can end up doing byproduct of this is like we'll just do punk, because technically it is punk, but it's not full on like punk, but it's anti-American culture at the time. So we're already in a fucked place, right? So we go from red twice to now blue. Now, here's the problem.
Blue twice.
Yes, blue twice. So now we get Obama. And while at the time, Obama, I can probably say Obama equal good. Because now America, over the past, and we're going to do this. This is like 60, I think at the time, 60 years in the making, right? That Obama now can lead the American people because Americans are tired of, quite literally, and this is where the joke comes in, of old white men running wars. The average American just doesn't like it anymore.
If you think about it, since FDR's death during the 1940s, that was basically putting America on the right track to being essentially what would have been a more socialist state.
Yeah.
But then he died. And after that, things progressively kind of started getting set back further and further to the point where we are today, we're basically looking towards another recession.
Yes. So basically, the reason why Obama, of the first black president, gets elected is because it's like 60 years of, hold on, I'm going to put CIA, NOM. So that's NOM, and then civil. So we'll just go civ rights. So basically, the CIA's involvement in outside global events, Vietnam's, and civil rights as a precursor set up Obama to getting elected. 9/11 eventually causes all of this, which, mind you, all of this eventually goes back into punk culture and just like anti-establishment, right? So it all is one giant fucking feedback loop. But then we get into the current problem. Obama,
he's black.
Is black. So this is where it gets even crazier. So then we're going to do a double line. And this is I want to write this really tiny. 300 years of, I can't spell it. Racism now kicks in. So over the last 70, 80 years, up until Obama shows up, it basically changes a hell of a lot of the status quo over like the 300 years America has existed.
Can you hand me a marker as well?
I'll give you. I'll hand you a marker.
One thing to also keep in mind as well is during all of this is the rise of the internet.
Yes, and internet subculture.
Because clearly racism didn't stop existing throughout.
It got worse. It got worse. Hold on. I want to point
like civil rights didn't stop racism. It just made it so people weren't as emboldened to act on their racism, at least not on a broad scale.
Yeah.
Whereas with the advent of the internet, it kind of connected people who had terrible ideas.
Well, I can do it like this too.
On a nationwide scale, to the point where those people who would have normally been treated as idiots in their hometown could now create their own community and become more emboldened with their crazy ideologies. And then at that point, once you're not feeling crazy in your ideologies anymore, you start to spread it, and then it becomes normalized rather than crazy. So then, which is why now racism gets even more where it is today.
So then we hit into 2025. So this leads us into our current predicament. Because white people and racism have led the American population to such a weird divide in this country, and because of the internet as well, white people in specific, feel threatened because one black guy, due to a sequence of events of basically the average American just being like, we're tired, we don't care about this anymore, has now fatigued. Quite literally, if you really want to think about this is all white fatigue over the last 300 years. And how racism has slowly over time has gotten weaker. So what we're seeing here now is in 2025 is basically the dying gasps of like 300-year-old racism, because that's like, the internet has its ups and downs. It leads into gross, groper, and other adjacent subcultures that argue politics just being actually a circle rather than a line. You go so far right, and eventually ends up wanting to date trans women. You go so far left, it goes back into gun ownership. But the basic idea is the long chain of events here basically led to Obama being president. White people, white racists getting pressured, feeling, oh my God, we're no longer what we thought we were 300 years ago with all of this. And because of these events.
And through that, also with one could argue with the Pat Tillman and the NFL's involvement in all this.
Also it leads back into
led back to the current state, because now on a broad scale, we have NFL athletes and owners basically advocating for
white nationalism
at this point.
Yeah. And there's also a bit of Christianity. Remember, this is broad strokes. I could actually probably do like a full-on detail of this timeline after 9/11 and how much 9/11 really shows where we were going to go. Yeah. Now, what happens in the 9/11 timeline? Well, I'm going to tell you this. So, a lot of stuff changes. Remember, we still have this to deal with. This still happens here in this little point in time. So you still have 60 years of racism going into this. You know, CIA, NOM, civil rights. I think it's probably closer to 400 years, because we can even go like post colonial America. So without an excuse to go to the Civil War like 9/11, where do we go? It's hard to say, because remember, like I said previous to this is going to be a fucking long ass recording. Because we have no proper excuse to go, it wouldn't be till several years into the 2010s would we go to the Middle East. So, Middle East, East, late. Who we fight? No fucking clue. It could be ISIS. It could be a whole different domination. But remember,
because it was still being set up
Yeah.
up until that point, because there was so much conflict in the Middle East during that time because of American involvement in the 80s.
Yeah, there's I guess we should also put this here, USSR and USA involvement. Yeah, the reason why this happens is because of the USSR. Communism and its effects do have its, or a dictatorship, I should say, have its consequences. The Middle East doesn't like either of them. That's what happens when you play proxy wars. The middleman gets pissed.
They don't like that.
Yeah.
Shockingly.
So, but think about it like this: we just skipped over possibly 15 years worth of stuff here in a go. Meaning that we're technically right here. We're already in. When did Obama get elected? 2008, right?
Yeah, 2008.
We're already in the 2010s. We don't get to the Middle East till basically the end of this administration. Meaning, remember, there is no crazy political movement. There's no Middle Eastern war. There's no Big Brother. There's no NFL patriotism. It's patriotism around, if not maybe even less so than the 90s. Meaning that you don't get Obama. You possibly get here.
You could get Obama adjacent later on. But I don't. There is a chance we don't get Obama in 2008.
You get Mitt. I think I'm spelling it right. You get Mitt. I don't know how to spell Romney.
Well,
Romney.
It was what's his face? Why am I forgetting his name?
I forgot the first guy. But basically, you get other Republicans. However,
John McCain. There's a high probability that we get John McCain in the 2008 election rather than Obama.
So you get double.
But actually, I don't know. I don't know if this is entirely true because had 9/11 not happened, there's a good chance that Bush doesn't get reelected because he was immediately unpopular.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he became president, and even during his presidency with I hate to say it, but hype behind 9/11 happening, that's why he got reelected in 2004. But all of that, because the hurricane...
remember, we glossed over a lot of things.
Hurricane Katrina would have still happened, and he would have still done what he did during that time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to speak loud.
You want to borrow the mic?
Yeah, I'll borrow. So there is a very high probability. So I'm not going to say Obama. I think Obama still happens.
You think Obama still happens?
I think Obama still happens because regardless,
I can't even be mad. It's alternate history. It goes all over the place.
Hurricane Katrina still happens.
Yeah.
Which
one could argue. Well,
and
there's a lot. There's a lot of
Bush.
things going on.
Bush unpopular.
Yeah. But do you think he was so unpopular he wouldn't? You want to use mine?
No. Bush unpopular.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets elected in 2004. I don't think he wins that election. So 2004, that goes to Gore, right?
Yeah, it should go to Gore.
Gore. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
We're gonna
move
move
further down.
Middle East. Yeah. Down here.
Middle East stuff doesn't happen until like to 2010 with ISIS and stuff.
So President Gore, 2004. Yeah. That's the timeline that we end up in, because I don't think it's talked about enough, because he really did ride on the hype of 9/11 a lot, is why he won that election in 2004. Though I think there was also some shadiness behind that election as well. But I'm just going to say, for the sake of our theory, that he pretty much does nothing for all 4 years of president, because there is no 9/11. So he was already not very popular going into the 2000 election. I say he doesn't win the 2004 election. That goes to Gore. Now, Gore would then run for re-election, I'd have to assume, in 2008. So we get Gore from 2004 to 2008, which...
Oh, fuck. We forgot about the 2008 crisis. So also, hold on, going back going back to the original timeline, 2008 also happens. We'll put this over here. 2008. This ultimately then radicalizes a whole bunch of people, too. So this also then goes into our current political climate with the nationalism. So then this has to beg the question: do you think Al Gore would have prevented 2008 or no? Because this is a big one. A lot of people. This is okay. So this
is where I'll admit I'm not entirely familiar with why the 2008 recession actually happened. Because I know it was like it had a lot to do with just people on Wall Street just did not care about
the little people. This is
little people.
2008. Hold on, we'll put it like this.
And like houses literally could not be bought at that time.
Killed the middle class. Okay, to put this is really tiny. To put this into perspective, just to summarize it, 2008 was when the billionaire class kind of killed off the rest of the other classes in America, which is why we lead into now. This is where you have CEOs getting massive tax refunds. There's a whole bunch of bullshit involving why CEOs are the way they are now. It's because of 2008 and stock trading. It is a problem. So whether or not Gore properly beats Bush determines a lot of things. Gore definitely had a different mindset than Bush. So, right, because what was Gore? Gore was lib, right?
Yeah, he was a Democrat. So I guess that's where the question comes up too, because Gore's president in this timeline from 2004 to 2008. He then would, in the 2008 election, go up against John McCain. Mm-hmm. So the question is, in this alternate timeline from 2004 to 2008, is there any way that Gore remains popular enough to sway people to not vote for John McCain?
It depends. If he can somehow, this is where I think Gore could win. If 2008 goes differently and people aren't fucked over and there are punishments to the higher class Americans.
So so this creates a whole other timeline.
Yeah, there's two timelines here.
So because the Twin Towers live, there's a timeline where then 2008 recession doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. So
the middle class isn't destroyed.
And then there's the timeline 2008 where it goes down.
Yeah.
Like how it does in the present timeline.
I think Gore could have potentially solved it. I think. It just depends. However, what ends up happening is this still happens and this still happens in both.
This happens in 2007, right?
Yeah. So this happens in both. These Hurricane Katrina in the Middle East still happen. There's going to be involvement there. There will be eventually an excuse. They don't need 9/11 here. It will just happen in the late 2010s. So this is all okay. Post 2010. This is all post 20. This all still happens. So depending on whether Gore either solves 2008 or doesn't,
so
changes it a little bit.
If Gore, I have my mic.
Oh, okay.
So if Gore solved the 2008 financial crisis, Gore runs for 2008 to 2012.
Yeah.
He's president to that time.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't solve it, then we get President John McCain from 2008 to 2012, which in itself creates another branch timeline, because now for the 2012 election, we then would have two new candidates where the Democrat candidate is unknown.
Mm-hmm. It could be Obama. It could not be Obama.
Then
Who knows?
the Republican would very likely be Mitt Romney.
Yes. I still think he would have done it either way. He was very popular at the time.
But Romney was very good.
I still have to say this.
So then
that would write the other one, and then I can
John
go
McCain's in 2012. Then it would be McCain as the Republican.
Yeah.
And then the Democrat is unknown.
Yeah. So what's interesting about either of these two timelines, right, is that because you didn't get a black president during a very, very, very fucking wild era, because Obama was highly progressive.
Technically, I'd have to argue the only reason Obama had such success in 2008 is because he was such an off-the-wall pick.
Yeah.
That, like, he was so unknown at the time and saw all this happen for the last 8 years and was able to ride on the fact that things in America were not good at the time.
Right here. This is why Obama won.
So, yeah.
Still failed on that, by the way. Went to war into 2000, post it. So it still failed.
Yeah.
So but that's why I say, regardless of any of this, the Middle Eastern stuff still happens.
Middle East still happens because
America is, trying to destroy the Arabian League.
Arguably, because I guess there is the chance that during, because, regardless, I feel like Gore would win this election. If there's no screwy stuff going on, like people say that there might have been, for the sake of this, we will go by history's sake and say that there was not anything screwy with the election, that it was
probably screwy.
It was 100% on everything was on the table. But I don't see Bush winning 2004 because he was not popular to begin with.
Yeah.
Because it was already screwy again.
Yeah. So this then leads us into the current predicament. Because you've had, at least to our knowledge, I don't know, Gore is kind of the weird thing. Gore might actually end up in this timeline being either a mediocre president or a president who was able to clutch it out at the very end, leading to a next. Which one's the timeline he wins?
So
this one, right?
He wins in
this one.
We theorize he wins in the timeline where the recession doesn't happen.
Yeah. So
he wins,
I think,
runs through 2012, and we have entirely new candidates in unknown Democrat. Could be Obama, but I'm not sure. And then Mitt Romney.
So in either, right? So it doesn't matter because the all of the Republicans, Democrat, all of them, all the politicians were white. Let me clarify that. Were white and didn't change the status quo like Mr. Obama did. Moving forward into the 20s, a person like Donald Trump or even Biden could not be president because nobody is radicalized anymore. But because Obama isn't here to set a precedent that progress is happening, this era of the United States is over, is coming to an end, and 300 years of racism and 60 years of civil rights is changing. Now, could a black president end up showing up and something similar to this current era still happening? Yes, but you don't have the racism of 9/11 kickstarting a whole bunch of shit.
Exactly. And during this whole time, this would have been more progress in the development of a decrease in racism.
Yeah.
So, because that's technically what should have been happening during this timeline, because everything that happened with civil rights was still being fought for up until this point. But then 9/11 happens, and then there's racism for not just blacks, but now for people of other skin colors that weren't always thought about, but now are brought on the table because now they're the enemy.
Yeah.
So then we see all this happen essentially, or all this happen essentially because of racism. So we get to this timeline where the Twin Towers stay in place. We get white presidents throughout who, in theory, would have done a decent job throughout their presidency.
They would have, I'm going to be honest, all of them up here would have been mediocre. Whoever wins this period, you're fucked. there is. I'll be personally with you. I don't think you could have solved 2008. Someone's being fucked over in 2008.
There's a good chance it's not, because I don't think this really. The 2008 recession didn't really have anything to do with who was the president at the time. Mm-hmm. It more had to do with the rampant upbringing of capitalism that caused people to be like, you know what, we like money over basic human rights. Yeah. Which, I mean, is technically where we are.
Yeah, there's also like back here a little bit of Ronald Reagan hate that shows up.
Yeah, because there's still stuff in the 80s that happened, which is also screwy.
Yeah.
Which, again, makes things unpredictable.
So this is really good. So you got me doing more history things. So going back to my slight psychology degree that I want to get, there is a reason why. Okay, I'm going to ask you this because it's really cool. So looking at both these timelines, when you're looking at this one versus this one, do you feel like our current timeline feels a lot more fast? Like 9/11, Middle Eastern War, 2008 happened somewhere here. Black people, gays, the rampant accelerationism of the internet at the time leading into crazy sub-internet cultures that spiral into different things. Not technically a lot of things change. Then we get into COVID and then 2025 and the current political climate. Do you think this is fast? Over the last 15 years we've been alive, does it feel like a fucking roller coaster?
It is definitely fast, and I think, not to sound conspiratorial, but I think that's intentional.
This gives me into, I think this timeline, I can't spell accelerationism. This is all fucking speed. So if you don't know, going back into this internet subculture, we're just gonna do this, is there are some people within the United States that believe that after 9/11, maybe even a little bit before that the US was going to lead somewhere bad. So the idea is for a lot of niche internet subcultures that we know have political sway now in 2025, believe that we just have to fucking speed run through everything in order to get to a better time. Now, there's philosophies against it because it technically is, well, sure, you know, it's hope core to say we'll get to a better time. There's also argument to say that it won't lead anywhere and will just fast track to fucking doom. So you could say because 9/11, we could be on the fast track, as at least currently politically right now, we might be in the shitter. We might have escalated from the timeline that it doesn't happen to prolong this. Mind you, we can't predict past this because of how weird it gets. We have a new Democrat and a new Republican in two different timelines.
I'd say the one thing that we can predict for this timeline is no Trump.
No, because
Trump does not win, because regardless of what happens at this point, once we get to this point, there's most likely going to be a popular Republican in office.
Yes.
So that won't lead to anybody having any questions by 2016.
So getting into meme warfare, the reason why Trump got to where he was at the time was because of Obama. Trump was really racist and really, whether or not he knew it or didn't know, because of his entertainment background.
This isn't disputable. This is proven.
Yeah, this is proven that he was backed up by a lot of alt-right internet guys. But remember, none of this happens. There is no alt-right rise. There's still internet and stuff. But remember, there's no speed. There's no accelerationism that's happening in this timeline. Because remember, the bad thing didn't happen. Yeah, in theory. The bad thing didn't happen. Sure, 2008 might still end up happening because, you know, stockbrokers, win or lose, I still think it's lose. I'm more on this timeline. With stuff happening in the Middle East, Hurricane Katrina still happening, you still get Republicans that think that progression isn't happening. They think it's still the status quo. It's not. Here's the thing about conservatism. It quite literally, in nature, cannot happen.
It does. You can't
stop progression.
Can't stop progression because naturally, as a living species, you have to constantly adapt.
Think about it like this. Even in our timeline, we still have civil rights. We still have a black president. It still happens. Mm-hmm. So even in this timeline, it still happens. Because remember, it's a slow burn.
There's still the decline of racism through this whole time. Because technically that should have been happening in this timeline, but through all of this created the sub-niche internet cultures that
hate on Obama,
racist, and hated on Obama because nobody wanted, for one, people didn't want a black president, which coincided with the team mentality that's been building for the past years before this that is you're either Democrat or Republican. You can't like both.
Yeah.
You have to choose a side, which combined into these niche internet cultures that decided that they hated that basically split the two parties into if you're a Democrat, you hate racist, and if you're a Republican, you're basically don't want anything to ever change ever.
Yeah, which mind you doesn't work. It quite literally hasn't worked.
Naturally is impossible.
Yeah, you will never stay the status quo. Humans by nature, while they don't like change, get restless. It's the paradox of human beings. So more likely than not, I'm a fan of this timeline. But because it's a slow burn, racists never feel like they get pressured. Maybe an Obama candidate does get elected post-Trump in this timeline, but because there is no radicalization, there is no fear-mongering or big brothering, basically the conspiratorial meta that is the Republican Party now doesn't happen. So a black president could show up and there could be racism, but it's not going to be like it is today, more likely than not. It still will happen.
It'll be at that point so far down the road that we get a black president, plus avoiding all the Middle Eastern conflict.
Yeah, the useless ones.
It'll basically be towards the like last breaths of the people who were against the civil rights movement at that point.
More like the first. Okay, I'll put it right here. First, black. We'll do Perez for short. Perez happens after basically the old people from the civil rights movement die. All the old people here are confirmed dead by the time we get a black president. So the first black president will show up.
They're either dead or no longer
in power,
vocal for anything.
So the first black president basically shows up as almost, I hate to say it, but this is how it would be, as the first new age of America where it's like, yeah, I have black friends. I communicate with my black friends. I'm fine with a black president. That's what we'll get eventually in, I think, either of these timelines.
Because that's where we pretty much were headed in 2012. At that point, people really didn't care.
Yeah.
But it was because there was those niche online people who were building up their hatred this whole time. And then... NFL. And then there was Trump who came in and was basically able to use his showmanship to become
the WWE takes effect in this timeline.
To basically become a voice for this hatred.
Yeah.
That now in the timeline where all this stuff doesn't happen. Trump doesn't have that following. He doesn't even consider running for president at this point.
Even if he does, no one's going to take him seriously.
There's no way he's beating either John McCain or Mitt Romney. There's no way. Like, had Mitt Romney run in 2016, I think he would have won that.
Yeah.
Like, it was literally just because the loss in 2012 that we did not see the return of Mitt Romney.
Yeah. And remember, too, because it's alternate history, it technically branches off like crazy. You might end up getting more sensible and more reasonable Republicans and or Democrats in either of these timelines. Basically, what we're saying is because 9/11 didn't happen, you end up getting a more progressive era. It's not accelerationism. It's not speed. This is a slow burn into what I believe into like 2040. We'll be 30. Mid 30s till we see our first black president, because all the old people who set up civil rights and didn't like civil rights have been doing all this. They no longer exist after like 2010, post 2010. They don't have the power anymore. So by like 2040, late 2030, you see your first black president. But remember, none of the racist and rampant things end up happening.
There's no strong pushback in this timeline because it's a slow progression, and the status quo, as the viewer, you don't see as rampant of change as you do here, because we get to a black president. I hate to say quick because
no, you're right. It's quick.
There should have been no question why there's a black president at all. He shouldn't even be called the black president. He should just be a president. Because literally That's a qualification. He was just qualified.
But because of all of the fucking shit in the Middle East, everybody was through with it. They wanted change now and then. So that's why we got Obama. There is no wanting of anything here till way later.
Which brings us also to the present day, where it's unknown who the president is from 2016 to
Onward.
2020.
Yeah.
But what we can theorize is because Trump is not the president in 2020, that COVID is handled completely differently, and we do not
better
even
or worse.
have that.
Yeah, better or worse.
There is the chance, and I guess that creates another branch timeline depending on who the president is at that time, is that COVID does not, I'm going to theorize, because of all this, COVID does not happen.
Really?
I'm going to theorize, because the reason why COVID got to the point that it did is because of this. And I guess I'll put Trump.
Yeah.
These two lead to COVID.
Yeah.
That is the reality, because I guess technically there was still the anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
That still exists in both timelines, but they're not emboldened by Trump and the radicalization of the Republican Party in this timeline because they don't have Trump in this timeline because they didn't need him because they didn't feel like they were being forgotten about. They didn't feel like their party was being forgotten about because technically they only are out of office in theory for 4 years. The Republicans have the majority of the office throughout this timeline.
So what it is, this is so fucked up. So they're both technically progressive timelines, but this is a progressive conservative timeline that eventually leads to the death of old people. This is a progressive liberal timeline, but because America's founding ideas are based on racism, has led to a clusterfuck at the very end. Because you can see how linear this is, and then we get here, and you can see how a mess it is.
Well, it just is a mess once we get to this point.
Yeah.
Because all of this happens because this happens.
Yeah.
Whereas in this timeline, and like I said, I'll keep saying it, these are all just theories, but because we know historically Bush was not popular. Yeah. Bush most likely would not have won in 2004, which brings Gore as president. The 2008 recession and the Hurricane Katrina still happen, which likely then would be blamed on Gore, which would then lead to John McCain taking the presidency in 2008.
And then post 2008, the Middle East stuff still happens.
It still happens, which could potentially make for some crazy stuff happening in the 2012 election, because most likely John McCain would still be the president at that time, unless the Middle East stuff made him so unpopular that the Republicans pull out John McCain for Mitt Romney. Then I still don't see any timeline that Trump becomes president.
No, there's no way.
Which means there's no radicalization of either party, truly. Which means that we don't get to the point where the 2020 pandemic hits. People take COVID more serious because everybody's a little more willing to work together at that point. Yeah. They eliminate COVID. COVID doesn't happen. And at that point,
who knows?
Who knows what happens?
To be fair, though, remember, the anti-war stuff happened back to back. Remember, you still had 9/11 and then ISIS and the stuff. So because there's no this happening, chances are, just like Obama, McCain probably still gets reelected. Probably. Because there's not, you don't have the double super effectiveness of the Middle Eastern fail that it was, like globally. Like, sure, we won, war on terror. Who cares? It still led to all of this bullshit happening. But in here, you only have one thing going on, and you're not wasting resources on stuff like this. Like, you still might get big brothered in 2010, but it's not going to be like the first few years of the 2000s. So genuinely, now that we put it on the board, I guess this does kind of confirm the idea that accelerationism did happen, or maybe progressively did happen, and then people did put a name to it. Because I'm now looking back on this, post 2008, shit was fucked. That rampantly like fucking went crazy.
Yeah, it truly was just a snowball of just event after event because of this.
Yeah.
Because this happened, all of this then fell into place. But it's mind-boggling to just think about, because we would be living in a very different time. Because even just domestically, travel would be a lot different.
Oh God!
And freaking like
to be fair, I'd
argue that
audio listeners, you need to watch the video.
Going to any event would be
completely different.
Completely different, because there would be no fear behind it. That's really the difference between these two timelines. Give me the red marker.
Yeah. We gotta set this board up more often. This is fun.
The difference between these two timelines. This timeline has fear.
Mm-hmm. You want green?
This timeline, I don't want to say peace, but it's more like happy.
Yeah. Basically, old people get pissed off here and lead to fucking radical decisions later on.
Technically, everybody gets angry here.
Yeah.
Because the old people don't like that things are changing later on, and the young people don't like the way things are being handled currently.
Yeah.
So that basically leads to all these events.
Yeah.
Which gets us to where we are today, where basically everybody's at each other's throat.
Yeah. Nobody likes each other. Now, to be fair, the thing with alternate history is, and doing it for like anime and stuff, and then even later history when I was younger, the problem is, because there's so many differences here, we can be wrong post 2008. All of this could be up in the air. But the reality of it is, you can get a straight enough line to get a lot of the basic coverage. Who knows? Al Gore might have a controversy here or there. John McCain may or may not be exposed for pedophilia or something. You know, random events like that. Or maybe not 9/11 doesn't happen here, but it could happen in 2010 or something along the lines of that. Because remember, terrorism didn't start or stop in America. It continued into 2010. So you could still have the war on terror, but it would be vastly different than it is here. But remember, you still don't have a black president. So people, even regardless of terror, do not feel threatened in America at the time for radical change. So you still don't get Trump. The reality of the situation is, the clusterfuck we're in is because of this. This led to Trump winning. None of this, Trump is not even a fucking non-factor. I think the Republican Party, who knows? There might be, in this timeline, I might be Republican, because I might
There's a good chance that me and Alex are both Republican because
they're not fuckos.
Because Alex's parents are Republican, and B, growing up in the LDS church would mean that my family would likely have more support for Mitt Romney, which would lead to basically me becoming more religious and Alex becoming more conservative.
Probably. Like, genuinely, looking back on the Obama versus Mitt Romney thing, Mitt Romney wasn't that bad. Like,
they were both good choices.
Yeah, and they were respectable. Honestly, I wish for 2008 back. I really do.
2008, 2012 elections, those were so... Because, like...
The parties now fucking hate each other. They're really at each other's throats.
Because there was the congratulations after every... Like, when Obama won those elections, there was the congratulations on both sides. That was like, hey, man, we still want to work together. We don't
like each other, but we're
brothers
workers
in this country.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's...
Where you get
Jesus Christ.
Where you get the insurrection and January 6th, and then you have all the stuff where basically nobody liked Biden.
Yeah. Basically, in this timeline later on, nerds and geeks are still viewed as fucking losers. No one's going to trust a Groiper or a Pepe fan or a 4chaner in these two timelines. No one will care, because the Republican Party because of the candidates are respected. Because remember, America's built on racism. So once you get past a certain hump, people are okay with it. That's why I said, like, post this, we could get a black president and nobody's really going to be like, oh no, because remember, everybody's chill. You still have rap music that shows up. You still have the blending between country and that.
At this point, there's at least a decade and a half before we start seeing there's a decade and a half of progression before we theoretically would see a black president.
Remind you, the extreme, like Project 2025 and all the extremism only happens because you get a black president, you get trans rights, you get gay rights, you get a whole bunch of very, very hyper progressive views. Now, whether or not gay or marriage would have shown up, who knows?
Because in reality, that stuff's not new.
Yeah.
The gay and trans stuff, that all existed prior.
Yeah.
That all existed prior to 9/11.
Yeah, that's technically that's just civil rights. It's been here the whole time.
It's been around for centuries.
Yeah.
Like, it's only become a problem now because it became a talking point here.
Yeah. The shooter was trans. That whole sentence only exists is because these guys, the internet guys, want an enemy. There's no enemy in this timeline. None of it exists. Remember, this is all hypothetical and speculative. Remember what I said? Because of different presidents, different controversies, ever thought Bill Clinton would be fine until he got a blowjob by a fucking young person. Mind you, that was a way different America now than. If the Americans here saw what that motherfucker was doing, Trump was doing now, there would be a completely different reaction.
That brings the question that I also had, where I wrote a little bit here, is what happened, because I think the Epstein files still come out.
Oh, definitely.
That's a canon event. They're
doing stuff here. They're doing stuff here.
There's whistleblowers that came out. They would have came out regardless.
Yeah.
Was it 2018 that all those girls started coming out and telling their story?
Yeah.
So the whole Epstein situation still would have happened.
Yeah.
The question is, does that actually get resolved faster in this timeline as well? Because in this timeline, now it's all convoluted that it's seemingly we're never going to know the true answers until the victims come out and just explicitly say it.
Yeah.
But in this timeline, theoretically, because we don't have this and there's no questions of the switching of presidencies, theoretically, that we could potentially have the Epstein situation resolved, and he could have actually not died and have faced time.
And you know what's crazy? Because the fucking Republican Party didn't dissolve and crumble into an alt-right party, sorry to say it, the Europeans are right, American Fascist Party, the Republicans here could do a switcheroo, and like how the Democrats use it against the conservatives, in this timeline, the fucked up part could be the Republicans switching on the Democrats for having pedos on it.
Because, we are also playing devil's advocate a lot, that these people in this timeline would be doing things correctly. Because, I mean, in reality, I'm pretty sure they haven't been for the longest
There
time.
are gay Republicans, so who knows? Maybe it turns out better. I don't know.
But I mean, in all that sense, we have to assume that they're doing things correctly in this timeline, because if the conspiracy theories are true, then the politicians are the reason why this happened.
Yeah.
So in theory, because the politicians, I'd have to assume in this timeline, like, again, playing devil's advocate, that Bush, because I think it's now common knowledge that Bush knew that there was a planned attack on the World Trade Center. So in this timeline, he does something about it and stops that attack.
Or something. Or maybe it doesn't even happen regardless. Maybe it's a waffle, Like, oh, we're going to attack something, and they never end up doing it.
And they don't do it.
Yeah.
Who knows? There's a lot of questions with that.
But Bush can't ride the hype. Gore wins. Depending on 2008, if he can stop it.
Likely the 2008 recession and Hurricane Katrina still happened, which means Gore takes the blame for that.
Yeah.
Which, then again, that is also the question, because the only reason why Hurricane Katrina is looked back on in such like disdain from the country is because of how poorly the Bush administration handled it. So there's the chance that the Gore administration actually handles it correctly and people get the support they need.
So then we get into the win timeline. So regardless of 2008, because of, you could make the excuse due to the complexity of 2008 and that whole thing. It's like there's no way he could solve it. But what he could make up for it is Hurricane Katrina leading to a win, leading to this timeline, which I think still, regardless of it, you still don't get any of that.
You don't get Trump. 2020 leads to the president from 2016 to 2020 is competent and handles COVID correctly. The country's not split apart due to political or religious or whatever views. Everybody comes together and works together to make sure, hey, you know what? Let's take COVID serious and let's just make sure that it doesn't spread like wildfire and we don't have to shut down the country.
I still think it still would have led to like a lot of people going crazy, but it wouldn't have lasted like what, 4 years?
It wouldn't have been emboldened by the president.
Yeah, you would have probably had it for like 2 years. People would have been pissed, but it's just like,
I'd argue it would have been like a couple months.
I love how optimistic you are.
Because there was the vaccine by September of that year. So once we got to the point, all we had to do was wait from March to September when there's a vaccine. And in that time, if people took it serious, it wouldn't have spread like wildfire. Only a few people probably would have caught it at that point. And likely lockdown wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Because people took it serious to begin with. Not saying that, because even prior to lockdown, people were not listening to the warnings from...
And everybody was still conspiratorial. In this timeline, people were less conspiratorial. It's not the meta.
Because they don't have this. They don't have this to create the conspiracy theories.
Yeah. This is where this was born. Conspiracy theories prior to this were seen as wacko. Post this, everybody had one. There was so many. And then what makes it worse is the fact that afterwards everybody started Googling things, and that's where you get MK Ultra, and then everybody, I can tell you now, before this, my dad, we'll use my dad for example, because he doesn't know half those fucking conspiracy theories, still thinks America does good things for good people. No, they do not. They do some fucked up shit. Let me tell you. So you end up getting this because no one's questioning anything.
Technically, there is the argument as well that this timeline could potentially be worse for the American people because we don't know all the crazy stuff that the government was up to and we don't question anything.
Yeah. So what's going to end up happening, maybe we should look back on this video in like a few years. So, I don't know, hold on, back up, take a screenshot of that and like clip this so we understand what the fuck we said.
We might have to do a part 2. Yeah. Because the COVID and 9/11 weren't the only things I was thinking of looking at alternate histories of.
Oh, we can keep... I got nothing to do for the rest of the day.
This will be like a 5-hour episode if we kept going. So we're going to have to do a part 2 of this.
So what other alternate history do you want to cover? This one's interesting. To me personally, breaking it down for the audience, this is the most interesting thing because this is current post-modern America, post-9/11 America. There is so many revolving factors. Because remember, we're doing major
because we know direct effects of this event. We know like exactly what this event led to because we're examining such a short period of time in history.
This is like 25 years.
This is 25 years right here.
Yeah. Because remember, you still have extra stuff we need to talk about here too. So it's like 25 years.
There's a lot of other stuff that could branch off in different timelines prior to this point.
Yeah.
So that's all stuff that we will have to talk about in another episode.
I want to do it. I want to do it already. I'm bored. I don't have anything to do after this.
You want to just stop recording and then just do another episode?
I'm down. I got nothing to do. I say they're going to be fucking Helldivers or Space Marine.
What time is it? Because I do have somewhere to go at 6.
It's currently 4:05. Okay. We can do it.
We can probably do a quick second episode. So tune in next week, part 2. Me and Alex, we're going down a rabbit hole. So we'll see you guys.
I'm texting my mom. I won't be home for dinner.
We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Yeah.